Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today on accelerating the journey to Dynamics Business Central with Data Masons EDI. Joining us today is Shawn Martin from Data Masons, and we're excited to have such a fantastic turnout today. Before I pass it over to Shawn, I would like to let you know that we are recording this session, and it will be in our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And we just ask that if you do have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the questions box throughout the presentation, and we'll get them answered during our Q&A time at the end. So now I'm going to pass it on to Shawn to kick off our presentation.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for taking some time to learn more about Data Masons, as well as how we really accelerate the journey to Dynamics 365 for Business Central. My name is Shawn Martin. I'm a business development manager with Data Masons EDI software. The Data Masons team is solely focused on the Microsoft Dynamics community. We really don't try to be everything to everyone. Our core competency as well as focus is Dynamics and will be going forward. Data Masons is based out of Sarasota, Florida. However, we do have a global presence throughout the world with offices in North America, Philippines, Europe, Australia, and Data Masons is certified for Dynamics, and we are also a Microsoft Gold certified ERP partner. The agenda today: factors that make Dynamics Nav to D365 upgrades hard, how Data Masons has helped companies accelerate the upgrade process, new best practices for ISV integration solutions in the cloud, life after the upgrade, Microsoft One version, digital transformation, the future state. Then we're going to go through an overview demonstration of Data Masons EDI software. And then at the end, both myself as well as Dennis Bruce, the Director of Sales at Data Masons, will address any questions that come up following the presentation. So, as I work with CIOs, IT directors, EDI coordinators, I oftentimes hear a common theme. And the common theme is that for the past 20 years, Navision has been fantastic for allowing for customizations. Really customizations for the business, customizations to support your EDI initiative, and really customizations to get Nav to do exactly what you wanted it to do. However, it did have a downstream impact on a lot of the companies that we work with. Number one, the customizations make it extremely difficult and hard to accept an upgrade. As a result, a lot of the companies that we work with that are evaluating EDI, they didn't accept the upgrades. They didn't take them, and as a result, they ended up on an older version of Nav, really where they didn't have any support. And I've worked with companies where they've been off support for 8-9 years. Business process reevaluation. A complete reevaluation of business needs should be considered before upgrading to D365 Business Central. What is now native in Business Central that may solve for a lot of the business needs, whereas before those were accomplished with customizations that were introduced into the code and so forth. Lack of time and resources. Let's face it, this is a really big project and you just can't put your business on hold. So as you evaluate, the upgrade process, are there any elements that can maybe be outsourced to, for example, EDI, where, maybe like a managed services program would be offered to help offload some of the, time-consuming effort that's put into that, so you can focus on bigger projects such as the upgrade. Data migration. How does the upgrade impact your ability to move data? Do you have a place to put it going from Nav to D365? For example, with EDI, turnaround data that comes in from a trading partner, but there's no logical place in either Nav or D365 to put that data. So what do you do with it? Do you introduce customizations to be able to support the data requirements? Or can you keep that data external, outside the ERP? What about ISV solutions working together? When you actually upgrade to D365, any of the ISVs that you've integrated into Nav, did you, mesh your code when initially integrating? How will this get migrated to D365? Or will this require a complete new reimplementation of those ISVs or integrations? And lastly, the integration framework. So how does the change in the integration framework impact customizations and integrations when upgrading? Will the XML ports that is currently used with Nav still be available when you go to D365? Because that's introducing a new framework, which is open data or OData protocol using RESTful web services. So I just want to, how Data Masons has helped companies accelerate the upgrade to D365. Well, an example, I was recently working with a company, they were in the automotive industry. They really wanted to move up to Business Central off of Nav. However, they had heavily customized their version of Navision to support their homegrown EDI solution for a lot of their trading partners in the automotive industry. As a result, they hadn't taken any upgrades for a number of years, and they had been off of support from Microsoft for 6 years. They also only had one resource that actually supported both Navision as well as their homegrown EDI solution. So they're really concerned what happens if that person leaves, right? So they started their evaluation and they were referred to Data Masons because we take more of an external approach to EDI. We were not going to introduce any new customizations in Nav. And because we can support, versions of Nav quite a few years back, they could actually implement on their current version. They could onboard a brand new customer that they were just starting to work with Data Masons. And then they could bring over the rest of their trading partners onto Data Masons. This gave them the opportunity to evaluate and scrutinize all of the customizations that they currently had in Nav. This gave them the opportunity to eliminate or remove a lot of those customizations to make it a lot simpler as well as easier and quicker to upgrade to D365 Business Central. So Data Masons, as I mentioned, adopted an external model right from the beginning to eliminate any need to customize Nav. You can implement on any version with our standard integration. We don't rely on embedded customizations to really do what we do best, which is integrate the entire value chain. And again, this gives our customers the opportunity to scrutinize all customizations in their current version before they upgrade to Business Central. What was created? Why was it created? Do we really need it? As well as what can now be moved outside the ERP. And this model really helps our customers to stay up to date on the latest version of Dynamics 365 Business Central. It also allows them to quickly integrate new workflows as well as onboard new trading partners quickly and easily. Data Masons, we also have Dynamics as well as EDI experts on staff. We have over 120 experts that can help in the transition process and map business processes, into Business Central. For those of you that are considering, well, how do we free up some time, for our IT department to actually go through this transition of the upgrade? Well, Data Masons also offers managed services. So we can actually manage both the technical as well as the day-to-day elements of your EDI, really trying to give time back to your team so they can focus on higher priority projects such as upgrading to Business Central. We also have built out more of a buy versus a build solution when it comes to integrated EDI, because let's face it, very few companies now really want to build custom maps, much less build custom integrations or have to actually maintain them. Data Masons with our standard integration for all the versions of Navision makes it very quick and easy, and it's ready to implement today. So changing best practice for Dynamics integration, as I mentioned, for years now, the best practice was to introduce customizations in Nav to support the needs of the business, to support your EDI initiative, all your complex logic, rules checking, validation, that was all embedded in the ERP. Again, making it really difficult to go through an upgrade process. Going forward though, Dynamics Business Central, it really is a new model, it's changing. The new model requires continuous, ongoing compatibility with new updates and releases by Microsoft. Companies really are starting to shift from that embedded customizations to adopt more of an external model to really accelerate and make sure that they can maintain, the cadence with their upgrades. They don't want to rely on embedded customizations. They still expect, though, a tightly integrated solution, but it needs to be loosely coupled, with an extremely light footprint in the ERP. So all the validation, all the logic, the complex logic, the rules checking need to be done outside the platform, so a perfect message is always delivered to Business Central. Microsoft now offers a much better integration framework that is open to external solutions with the OData utilizing the web services. For example, with Data Masons, we can embed simple hyperlinks into the extension layer in Dynamics. It opens up screens with contextual data from our platform. We can do all the machinations outside Dynamics and deliver exactly what the user wants. Looks like it's completely embedded, but it's not, because we're really blurring the lines between our two systems to make it a seamless experience for the business user. And it also helps IT maintain compatibility going forward. So life after the upgrade. So once you get to Business Central, the one version, Microsoft's one version, it really is a new model. Their goal going forward is that all Dynamics users will be on a single version, right? You're going to expect about 8 releases a year, and of which I believe 3 are going to be mandatory. So when you think about that, about every 4 months, every 3 to 4 months, you're going to be going through an upgrade. And if you've embedded customizations in your code to support EDI, will you have the resources and time available to do full regression testing every 3 to 4 months? And again, that's where Data Masons has taken that external approach to make sure our customers are able to easily and quickly accept those upgrades, without a great deal of effort. The digital transformation, really, how does this upgrade help our customers drive improvements both in their business and the digital economy? It's not just going to a browser-based solution. It's not just going to the cloud or removing a few servers from the building. In reality, it's a lot more than that. Our customers need to know that the upgrade is going to add value to the business, solve existing business challenges, increase efficiencies, lower cost, reduce errors, connect their entire value chain, and really give time back to their team so their team can focus on higher priority projects. And of course, everybody wants to know that when you make an investment in a solution like Data Masons, that you're future-proofing that investment. Because let's face it, technology is changing rapidly. And Data Masons isn't just responding, we're staying in front and we're really pushing the envelope. Blockchain is just one example. We already have customers integrating with the IBM Food Trust that is built on the blockchain. The future is exciting for e-commerce and business transaction processing, but there's going to be challenges, and our goal is to stay ahead of them for our customers as technology changes. So with that, I'm going to shift over to a demonstration. And let me get this refreshed here. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, we're going to go. We're going to start with an overview demonstration of DataMason's EDI software, and really how we've created a seamless experience with our browser-based platform. Again, going back to the whole concept of the webinar, which is eliminating any need to customize Business Central. Really trying to blur the lines between our two systems, and again, making it a seamless experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to step through the day in the life process, really quote to cash, customer facing EDI. But keep in mind, I mean, we can also do vendor facing EDI, logistics and everything else. But for today's focus, we're going to do quote to cash. Keeping in mind that, you know, Data Masons is really the glue that sits in between your trading partners and of course your system of truth, Business Central. So the reality of an order is I really don't need to do anything special, right? The PO comes in, Data Masons with our automation and our scheduler, it's triggered by that event. We communicate to the network. We map your trading partner's format to our standard. We map our standard to your deployment of Business Central. We apply your business rules. We confirm your part number, cross-reference, ship to cross-references, unit of measurement, etc. You know, utilizing these rules. And if there's any exceptions, we can put the document on hold and allow you to work based on exception, right? Manage based on exception, where then we, you know, will alert you to any of these exceptions, either by email, by a text message, however you prefer to be notified that there's potentially, you know, an unresolved error that needs to be managed by the team. You know, or if all the criteria is met, you know, really then it's just a simple valid sales order is created, just as if I actually keyed it in without any errors. So the first thing I'm going to go into is Business Central. Just want to give you some perspective in terms of how we're blurring the lines between Data Masons and Business Central, where it's, again, tightly integrated but loosely coupled by dropping in those links in the extension layers within Business Central. So the first area I'm going to cover is customers. And I want to point out a couple of things here. So I'm going to go into Business Central. We're going to go to this customer. And I want to point out, and again, this is only an example of what we can do for our customers. But right from the customer account card, here you can see there's an EDI section, a little tile that was created. And within this tile, we're going to allow you to go right back to Data Masons where you did your trading partner setup. I can go in and I can look at my cross-references, my item cross-references, my SAC cross-references, along with any ship to cross-references. And it's right there, it's a click away. We can also view all the transactions, so transactions that are on hold for a datum, transactions that are ready to be processed, along with any transactions that are complete. I'm not having to actually leave Business Central to have visibility to this data. So if I want to go out and I want to look at this partner in Data Masons, it's a click away. And again, all we're doing is we're pulling up a browser based on what's been hyperlinked in Business Central. So right here now you can see it took me right to a datum where then if I needed to, and again, if I had the right business rights and so forth, you know, we could edit this trading partner. We could go in and look at all of the documents that we're currently exchanging, you know, with this trading partner. We could actually review the item cross-references, the ship to locations, you know, everything is right there. And you'll notice that I still have the exact same screen open. So again, we're giving you that those hyperlinks that are embedded, you know, in Dynamics, tightly integrated but loosely coupled. So from here, I'm just going to take a step back and let me close out of here. And let's go back to my company. And one of the things that I did right before the demonstration is I dropped a new raw EDI file into the folder. Data Masons, because it's event-based, went out, grabbed that file, automatically brought it into Business Central. So it's already transformed that purchase order into a sales order. So let's go in and take a look at it. So I'm just going to pop in here, sort this descending, because it should be the last one created. There it is. And for the demonstration today, the PO number, I called it Innovia 001. Let's go in and look at it. So for those of you that are on Business Central, this should look pretty familiar. For those of you not, this is what it will look like when you eventually upgrade. I'm going to go to the Navigate button. And again, right from the order screen, you can see we have something called the TLE. It's the Transaction Lifecycle Explorer. And I'm going to come back to this over the course of the product demonstration to show you all the documents that are being generated and transmitted back and forth between you and your trading partner. So the first thing is I'm going to go in and look at the Transaction Lifecycle Explorer. So it builds out really the life cycle of this purchase order as it works through your business processes. So there you can see my partner is a datum, it's a purchase order, it was inbound. You can see the date received, the date sent, everything is right there. The other really cool thing about this, you can see the purchase order number, but we're also going to be able to give you complete visibility to the actual raw data that came in from this inbound purchase order from a datum. So it's right there. However, there's probably a lot of business users sitting in your organization that may have no idea what that means. So we also give them a report. And this is a really clean way of now taking that raw EDI file and giving it to a business user so they actually know what everything represents. So we give them the value, we show them what the description is, and how to read an EDI file. It's right there. So that way anybody can actually look at it and they can see all the information that they're looking for. We can also show the status and whether the document errored or not. And here you can see there's no error. The status is good to go, a check mark, and you can also see the functional acknowledgement. And the functional acknowledgement is really just confirming back to your trading partner the read receipt. Yes, we received it. We're good to go. So that way you're acknowledging back that you got it. So I'm going to come back to this document here in a little while after we go through the Data Masons piece, and then we're going to process this order all the way through. So let me get back here. And the first thing I'm going to do is go one more place from Business Central that I want to also touch on. When this order was created, one of the things that we do want to try to do is give you visibility back to that original inbound purchase order that came in from your trading partner. So you're not going to notice here that I have this purchase order view. So this actually takes that raw EDI file that came in from your trading partner, and we put it in a nice, clean view for your business users to actually review. So that way they can look at the general information, addresses, dates, references, allowance charges, everything is right there. It also allows them to open up both line items that were on this purchase order, because they can see the item number, the quantity, the unit price, the unit of measurement. But we can also open this up, and then we're going to show them additional information such as your line item qualifiers, your SDQ, and everything is right there. And for example, let's say with this customer, you allow them, according to your business rules, to order in quantities of 10. Well, they sent you an order for 48. So you call them up and they say, oh, shoot, we made a mistake, change the order to 50. We're not going to send you an updated PO. What this gives, again, if you provide the level of security to do this, a business user could actually pop in here and they could do the edit. And without receiving a new purchase order from your trading partner, they can come in and they can override that quantity. And they can update it, save it, and process it and release the order. to update the sales order. So we're trying to make it really flexible, very easy, again, with all the different security levels that are required in here, to be able to do that. All right, from here, let's go back over to the Data Masons. And I want to start with what we call the dashboard. So the dashboard is really a set of KPIs that we're tracking for you to give you that visibility, as well as actionable insight into all the transactions that are taking place within your organization. So one of the things that you're going to notice when you come into the different KPIs is you can reorder the way these are laid out. So really giving you that ability to customize the way the dashboard is laid out per the individual user. The other thing that's really cool is I can change the way these are laid out, whether I want to look at this as a pie graph, a donut, a bar, however you need to see that, whatever makes most sense for you. But the really great thing is, it's interactive. So here I'm looking at all my documents that are on hold, and here we're showing that we have 65 invoices that are currently on hold outbound to our trading partners. So I can simply click on that, and what we're doing is we're bringing you into what we call the Document Explorer. When you do this, it actually brings it up where it's pre-filtered. So you can see that all these invoices are currently on hold. They're invoices. They're all outbound to our trading partners, and they've yet to be resolved. So right from here, I have that complete visibility to go in and start looking at what the potential issues are to resolve any of these potential errors which created the document to be put on hold. However, I can get rid of all the filters, and now we're looking at all the documents that are going through Data Masons, inbound as well as outbound. But I can go over to the filter, and if I just want to look at a specific trading partner, for example, a datum who we've been looking at or kind of picking on, and we can come in here, and now I'm looking at just the documents that are getting exchanged with the datum, both inbound as well as outbound. And that way it gives you that ability. It's fantastic ad hoc reporting to quickly and easily be able to filter down to exactly what you need to see and the data you need to pull. So that is our dashboard. That's a little bit around the Document Explorer that's in Data Masons. From here, I really want to go and talk about the engine of Data Masons, really where all the automation comes from, which allows our customers, to really be able to work based on exception. So I'm going to go down to what we call the scheduler. The scheduler really is the engine behind the scenes that automates all the transactions in Data Masons to really eliminate or remove that human intervention that a lot of EDI systems out there still require. So when you see this, these are a number of tasks and workflows that are all running behind the scenes, going out, retrieving documents, sending documents to trading partners, transforming documents. And I can stop the service right from here. However, right from here, you can see that the service is running. So this really is that engine that drives all the automation behind Data Masons. So in here, there's two elements that I want to briefly mention. Tasks in Data Masons are really, they're processes that are predefined, right? And these processes are constantly running behind the scenes within our system. Not only is it specific to Data Masons, but a lot of our customers will introduce SQL scripts or executables right in here as part of their tasks to, again, eliminate any need to customize within the ERP. Workflows is really where you take a number of the tasks that are running these defined processes, and you build out a workflow, step 1, step 2, step 3. So for example, step 1, communicate to the network. Step 2, transform the PO from our customer standard to our standard. Step 3, generate and send an exception report. Step 4, send an audit report. Step 5, there's no errors, sent to the ERP to create the sales order. So to give you an example of what these workflows look like, I'm going to pop in here, and there you can see I have an advanced ship notice outbound. Here are the steps or the tasks that actually create that workflow that our scheduler is then running on whatever cadence you've set it for. So let me back out of here. So the schedules are really set right here. So you can see you can have something run once a day, first thing in the morning. You can have something kick off and run at 1 o'clock in the morning. If it's something that you always need to be on top of and constantly checking for, you can have it run down to, every minute, or out to, once a week. Kind of depends on how often you need these schedules to run, and the schedules are then assigned to those different workflows. Also too, with quote to cash, just want to touch on this. So really what we're doing from a quote to cash standpoint is it's really taking the business processes from ERP and building them into the data masons. Okay, so at this point, when you look at quote to cash, everything from all of your processes that are running for quote automation to your purchase orders, for example, send purchase order to ERP or receive order acknowledgement from ERP. We can get down into the WMS. So if you use 3PLs, automation of getting documents from your 3PLs and bringing those back in, or vice versa, right down to the invoice. This is really more of the quote to cash standpoint, but if you're doing vendor facing EDI, that's really where the procure to pay is going to come in. And again, these are all the different workflows that are running behind the scenes, automating all the processes within Data Masons. For those of you that have logistics, transportation, how you communicate with your motor carriers or your 3PLs, everything is defined within Data Masons and are really configured specific to you, our customer. Automotive planning, really for forecasting, release accounting, and so forth. So everything is set, ready to go. Really just the only thing we're looking for is really the configuration. From there, the last thing I want to talk about is the settings and how you're communicating to your business users for when an error occurs. Are you sending emails? Are you sending, exception reports? Are you sending audit reports? Does the business user want to be notified via text, that an error occurred and they need to resolve? So one of the things that I want to point out are the error codes, because they're just not, a simple error code. It's actually defining a business process for how your end users, your business users, can solve for a lot of the potential errors that take place within transactions back and forth to customers. So for example, we have an error here, 173. Shipment method of payment is required. So let's go in and change this, and I want to point out how it's actually built out. So there you can see the error code, but here for the solution, what your end user would see is defined step 1, step 2, step 3. It's really specific to your business user and the process they should follow to solve this. And if they can't, if unsure, call Dennis in accounts receivable. Well, Shawn is the new accounts receivable person, so I'm just going to update this and hit save. And there we go. So now as I step through the actual process of, processing the order, I'm going to show you what an error code looks like, so that way can actually a business user can solve it versus always having to pull in IT or your EDI coordinator. All right. Okay, so with that, let's go back over to Business Central and let's process the order. So the first thing that I want to do real quick here, and let me just refresh this. Make sure it's still refreshed here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is go back to the TLE. And right before I left this order, I had released it. And again, that release, when I released the order, that was a trigger for Data Masons to go out and create the purchase order acknowledgement and send that back to a datum, letting them know, yes, we're confirming the price, the quantity, the delivery date, etc. So I had released the order. Now that's only one example. If you do your orders in batch or whatnot, there's multiple ways to trigger different events in Datamasons to trigger the documents being sent back and forth to your, trading partners. It's configured and defined by you, the customer. So we really mimic what you do from a business process standpoint back to Datamasons. So let's go back here and let's go ahead and get this order shipped. So I'm going to ship it. Okay. Well, I guess I should have done that in one step. That might have been a little quicker. But, from here, I'm going to invoice it as well. And then we're going to open it up and go to the invoice screen. So now that I'm at the actual invoice screen, again, we have the navigate, we have the TLE stuck in right there. And behind the scenes, this takes a minute or two to refresh because Datamasons has to, follow its cadence for when it looks for these different transactions and looks for when, to send out the ASN, when to actually generate the invoice. But it's building those out as we go through the demo. So let me refresh this. So the invoice beat the ASN, but the ASN is coming in right behind it. There we go. Okay, well, I won't give it that much time, but really that is the, overview that I wanted to step everybody through, just from a big picture overview of how Data Masons and Business Central work together to really blur the lines between EDI and the ERP, again, making it a seamless experience, both for IT as well as your business users. So, and there is the ASN. The last part that I wanted to cover before I wrap is how your end users can actually go in and resolve potential issues themselves. So as I mentioned earlier, we did have an error, and the error we looked at earlier was at 173, where shipment method of payment is not required. So right from here, we can actually go in and we can resolve the error. Before that, I just want to give you a, more of a detailed view of what that error looks like. Again, kind of laying it out. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, etc. So now I know exactly what I need to do and what was wrong with that invoice and why it didn't get sent. So I'm going to go over to my edit. We're going to edit the document. I'm going to go to the prepaid, to the collect, the way we're going to collect for the freight for this shipment. And when we had set up the invoice, somebody didn't put in, prepay or credit card or right on the fly from Data Masons. Hit save. It updates the record. And then at this point, all we're doing, because this document was currently set on hold, when I hit retry, we're going to set it back to a ready status. And within a minute here, it's going to come back with a check mark letting me know that the document processed successfully. So again, trying to eliminate how often your business users need to go to, IT or to the EDI coordinator for help to resolve any of these potential, errors. So with that, really that's what I wanted to cover from the standpoint of the product demonstration. And now I want to turn it over or open it up for questions and answers.
All right, Shawn, thank you very much. Yes, we do have a variety of questions for you. The first one is, I understand that the upgrades will happen seamlessly, but how do I ensure that your external hands-off do not interrupt the business?
So could you repeat that question?
Sure. I understand that the upgrades will happen seamlessly, but how do you ensure that your external hands-off do not interrupt the business?
Dennis, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I don't know what external hands-off is.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand the question.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that meant.
We'll reach out to the attendee and see if we can get a discussion one-on-one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And definitely, Angie, if there's any questions that we can't answer right now, if we can, get the list of the questions, then we can address them with a little more clarity once we can expand on the question.
Okay, most certainly. All right, another question that came through is, we are currently on Dynamics Nav 2013 with no plans to update. Will Vantage Point work with our system?
100% yes.
Okay. And are there transaction fees with Vantage Point?
Data Masons is not priced out based on transaction fees. So no, there are no transaction fees. Really, the only time that ever comes into place is if a customer requires a van and they don't have an existing van in place right now. So they can get a van from Data Masons, and then yes, then there would be charges based on kilo character usage.
Okay, thank you. And we have lots of customizations. Will it still work?
Yes, Data Masons will work, even though a company has introduced a lot of customizations into Nav. Of course, we would need to evaluate what those customizations are to see if any of those impact, how we bring data into Nav. But typically, it's just making sure that we're aware of what those customizations are throughout the implementation process.
All right, thank you. And is there any sort of alerts system built into your system? We have lots of problems because we miss things in our current system.
We do. Data Masons can alert both, anybody within your organization via text, email, and so forth, and we can deliver reports. We can deliver error messages. On top of that, we can also set up kind of a hierarchy where if something isn't resolved in 1 hour, then it's escalated. It goes to a bigger group of people, and so forth. So absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And a few more. Does Data Masons provide outsourced EDI services?
We do. Really, that is our managed services that we offer with Data Masons, and it's not only support. It's really both the technical as well as the day-to-day operations of EDI. So really, it's outsourcing your EDI coordinator to Data Masons, where we become really the experts within your organization to run your EDI program.
Okay, thank you. And last question that we have, do you provide support in other time zones outside of North America?
We do. We do. We have offices, as I mentioned on the very first slide, we have offices in North America, Europe, Philippines, Australia, etc. So we can offer 24, by 7 support for our customers. So not a problem.
All right, well, thank you very much. And those are all the questions that we seem to have for you guys today. If anybody has any additional questions that you would like to address with Data Masons, feel free to contact Shawn, or you can contact your account manager here at Innovia. So I'd just like to thank Shawn again for presenting, and to everyone on today's call, or if you happen to be watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And I just want to let you know that we do have a few more webinars coming soon. Next week, the 29th, we have Charged Logic presenting on more sales, more places. And then on the 30th, we have Holly Kudel from Innovia Consulting, and she's going to be presenting on workflows. So if you'd like to attend any of those webinars or any of our future webinars, be sure to visit our upcoming events page, and that's innovia.com/events. And I also want to mention our podcast. It's called the Innovia Conversation. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when new episodes air. All right, well, that's a wrap, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Shawn, and we look forward to seeing you on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.